For a while, I was a college counselor. I did that part-time. I was the head of the language department, and I taught 3 classes. I remember when we first got the internet, and there was a student here. I think the guy was like an exchange student. He was from Russia, and the whole faculty had to come to a meeting. And there were like, it was in the Uplands building, and there were like different classrooms with different stations set up. Anyway, the first one was the history of the internet. And this kid, it was a Crystal student, he did that introduction. So we learned all about the history of the internet. Then we went to the computers, which were, I guess in the Uplands building. They were like these big computers. They were plugged in against the wall. We sat down, we turned it on, and we were guided to go to the World Wide Web.
Oh, wow.
So like, if you're like, okay, so I'll never forget, typing in, www. And I don't even know what it was. And I thought to myself, I wonder how fast I can get to, like a site that had like pop culture, like something I'm really interested in. Well, there were no sites. I mean, there were like few sites. I don't know what the first sites were, but I'll never forget it, that it was emblazoned in my brain, a thing called email. And so we created emails, and like that was going to happen, because before then, if somebody wanted to communicate with us, it was either by phone, and phones were not everywhere in this building. They were like, maybe there was one in here and one. So it was either by phone, or most often a parent would call, the receptionist would pick up, take a message on a pink sheet that's like specifically made for phone messages, and stick it in our mailboxes. So like a day could go by. You get there in the morning, and then you check your box, noon, and then you find out that some parent or student called you, or somebody called you, you had to return their phone call. So like there was more time that went by when you returned correspondence, and now it's just like almost immediate. But I remember when we first learned email, because like this was the conversation. This email thing is great. We'll be able to communicate with kids and with each other. And I mean, I'll never forget somebody saying, wait a second, are kids going to want to communicate with this on the weekends? I'm not communicating with kids on the weekends. Weekends are my time. Like, well, we'll probably have to create some rules around that. But then the 90s hit, and you got this sense in San Francisco and the whole Bay Area that everything was like moving really fast. And the kids at Crystal, I know this to be true before I got here, even though Crystal was an all-girls school, some say, oh, it was like a finishing school, meaning like it wasn't serious. Okay, Crystal has always been an academic institution. When it was all girls, co-ed, it's always been an academic institution. When the 90s hit, and you had this influx of people from everywhere coming here, it was like the gold rush. That's the analogy. It was the gold rush. People coming here, like looking to be millionaires. The applicant pool just exploded, and we were getting. I mean, we always have been very healthy that way, but we were getting all kinds of applications from amazing families, and we really had to figure out like how were we going to, preserve the crystal culture and get the kind of kids that we, really wanted to have in a world where everything was moving really, really fast. The school felt that, and we really had to, think about our program, and I could see that things were really ratcheting themselves up in terms of what we asked students to do. The quality of the student really, across the board, was really strong. And so we had students come here and families coming here, for whom we could start to raise the bar. I just think if you had to speak in general terms, we asked more of students because we could see that students were capable of doing more.